Okay. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the sixth birthday of halftime chat. I almost feel funny celebrating this. Um, but this was the May 25th, 2020 was when I officially got a YouTube channel. And so this is, I, I, I started on Instagram first. However, um, I I soon realized that actually I couldn't keep up with what Instagram was doing, so I started the channel on YouTube and then decided to focus solely on YouTube. So throughout the night, I will be going through some of the backstories, some of the beginnings of the channel, how I modeled it, everything from that, and yes, so it will definitely be good. But I've got a few special friends joining us today, in and out. So it's great to celebrate with them. And what'll be great is for everyone to share stories about. As I said, the interviews I might have done most of them, but it doesn't mean that they're mine, and they're for everyone. So even as those who are joining and watching, please out there interviews that you've appreciated and what you've appreciated with them. It'll be great to hear. But I've got VJ and Stevie on right now. Lorena and Jackie McGee will join us soon. How are you doing, VJ?
Good. But today's not about me at all. It's about you and what you've done here with Halftime Chat. It's brilliant, man. And I was just looking at some of your old bits today. Fantastic. It's just very, very nice. And it's good that somebody is doing what you do because it's
Yes.
great.
I'll just greet out Brando of Chicago. Welcome. Derek, what's up? Peabody Black, welcome. Daryl as well, welcome. How about you, Stevie?
Yeah, good evening all. How you doing? Like VJ said, 6 years. I mean, it's flew by, and for anyone who's got a YouTube channel, you know yourself, Nandi. It's building a YouTube channel. It's a marathon, really. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. It takes time. Good evening, Lorena.
Hi.
Hi, Lorena. Have you met VJ?
Virtually.
Nice to meet you, Lorena.
Nice to meet you too.
Yes. Hey, Darius and Malik, welcome. Yes.
I mean,
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
how did you feel in the early days, Nandi, of starting the channel? I mean, what was in your head when you started it? Was it just like a side hobby? What was actually going through your mind?
So you know what? So I had been like most people during lockdown. Everyone went back onto Instagram. I started Instagram when it first opened. I had an account, posted a few pictures of me and the kids, and just said got bored of it and just went back to normal life. And then when lockdown happened, I was like, everyone went on Instagram, and I remember just browsing and I think versus. So I missed the Teddy and Babyface versus. That was the week in which I rejoined Instagram and just seeing the whole phenomena around that. And then I stumbled across what's his name now? I can't remember his name now. TSB. Um Kenny Burns. Kenny Burns. That's it. Kenny Burns. And I saw him, he interviewed um Andre Harrell, and he was interviewing a few people from Uptown. And I was fascinated with that. Oh, you can just interview people and ask them questions there. And prior to that, I'd started doing my halftime chat, but I was interviewing my friends and cousins. And that was a way of just because I thought actually I was going to start this off to do therapy work and focus on well-being. It was never about me interviewing and doing music. It was pretty much lockdown. I'm a therapist. Let me try and promote well-being and getting them to talk their life story and encourage people during the lockdown. And it wasn't until Father MC opened up an IG account, um, and as I said, I got the. If you look at Kenny Burns, it's yellow and black, and I thought, oh, that stands out. So that's why I got the stuff. halftime chats, any sporting events. In a hectic life, they have they break halftime, and almost like to regroup, and then we go before they go back out. So for me, it was a metaphor about having a break from the chaotic lifestyle of what's going on, and then going back out. So this was supposed to be like a break from everyone to be able to have that. And so I was looking at ideas for logos, and I just thought, just write it out. Let's chat. Or is it let's talk? Yeah, that's let's talk. So this is the original design from 6 years ago. That's what I just did on PowerPoint. Nothing fancy. And yeah, I think it was Father MC being the first artist. And I'm like, this is the guy from Uptown and all those songs and stuff. And he was so easy to talk to. He was so giving of his time. Um, and it was in his studio, and he was trying to promote an album, and I just used what I was doing with my friends. So that's why I always tell people, you start off by doing this quietly or with your friends or behind the scenes. And I just took the model. So I haven't changed in 6 years. It's what I was doing with friends and family that I'm doing with artists. So if I decided, oh, let me follow what everyone else was doing, I probably wouldn't have lasted. And so, but what the other thing that I'll just say quickly before I get introduced to Lorena, the reason why I moved from Instagram was when I started I tried to do one or two shows on Instagram, but I got so preoccupied with people, how many viewers were looking, and if the numbers were low or high, it was very distracting. Someone would join and you almost feel obligated to say hello. And then they're feeling like, oh, he knows I'm here. Okay, okay, I'm going to sneak out now. And like, oh, only 5 people are watching us. And then that was so distracting. I said, you know what, I couldn't focus, and everyone was doing IG live, and I just said, no, I need to pre-record, have space, and just use it in YouTube and just build from there. And maybe I had 10 people watching, that was fine. And I have to give a big shout out to Hip Hop Elise, because she was one of the first people who saw me on IG, followed me on YouTube, and she was one that helped me get Timmy Gatlin, and she got Nitty Green, and I think she got Joe Little from the Rude Boys. But she was there saying, you're awesome at what you do, and even though only 10 or 20 people are watching, just keep going. I always appreciate her. Lorena, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm happy to be here celebrating with you 6 years halftime chat. So I'm good. How's everyone doing?
All good. All good.
Yes. Well, it'll be interesting to find out from the three of you when, and everyone else online, if you can, in the comments and stuff, when you guys first stumbled across what I was doing, whether it was on Instagram or YouTube. Hi, Ezekiel. Let's start with you, VJ, then get to Lorena, then Stevie.
I think it was a few years back. I want to say maybe 4 years ago, just after COVID. I had lots of stuff going on in my personal life, and I just managed to surface, get some air, and just looking on YouTube, and I saw some cool videos, some interviews here and there. I thought, this is cool, and that was about 4 years ago, I'd say.
Okay. Was there one that you caught that you remember?
In recent years, the interview I do remember that I liked a lot was Tammy Lucas, and I see that you have a very good bond with her, and I think it's important for somebody that's interviewing to have a bond with their subject wherever possible. And I saw you had a very strong bond with Tammy Lucas, and Tammy's very affable anyway. She's an easy person to get on with. But it's not just Tammy, it's how you approach the questions and how you approached her. And I thought that was interesting, because the only reason why somebody would be connected to somebody that's interviewing Tammy in that situation would be if you were asking the questions in a particular way, and you hit the nail on the head. I can't explain it. If you watch a Tammy interview, it just makes sense. You could tell that you just clicked. It was just you just did, and that was it.
So part of the homework for today is I wanted everyone to get their top 10 what a memorable moment. It doesn't have to be the guest. It could be the guest. It could be something that came out of it. So hopefully you guys are going to prepare that throughout the evening. But I would say in my top 10 is Tammy Lucas, and I'll say why. So I reached out to her. She had a manager at the time, and I connected, and I said, "Oh, can I get an interview?" And he said, "Okay, we'll sort it out." We arranged the date. Let's say it was Tuesday the 5th of April or something like that. We was already signed in. I was like, "Oh yeah, good, looking forward to this." And then on Tuesday the 5th of April, I see everyone saying happy birthday, Tammy. It was her birthday, and I'm thinking, "Oh my goodness, we must have picked the wrong date. Like I'm supposed to interview her today, and it's her birthday." And of course, everyone celebrates birthdays differently. And I'm thinking, "Oh my goodness, this is not going to happen." So I messaged the manager, and he says, "Oh, it's her birthday. I didn't realize." He says, "Yeah, no, Tammy still wants to go ahead with the interview." I'm like, "What?" So she comes on, and I've interviewed so many people, but I can always say that I was starstruck. I was like, "This is Tammy Lucas. I've seen her name, I've heard her voice, but never really seen her. I've seen, even in the video, Is It Good to You? She's, it's the little ins and outs. I've never heard her in an interview." And I was pinching myself. So I've never done it in any interviews. I was just like, "This is real. This is real." I was nervous, the most nervous I'd been. Forgot most of the questions I wanted to ask. The music, about the music and stuff. Um, and it just, I was as nervous as I am, but she slowly made me feel at ease. As that. So as I said, that was, it would be one. It's part of my top 10 moments, was that interview, and knowing how nervous and surreal it felt, and starstruck I was with Tammy. And subsequently, when we interviewed the second time, we went on for 4 hours. I was like, okay, yeah. Lorena, what about you? When did you come across, and anything that you remember?
It would probably be during COVID because I was watching a lot of
Oh,
like,
from then. Oh, yeah, I didn't
yeah,
realize you. Oh,
I was watching a lot of interviews, so I guess that's how my algorithm was set up. So I would get like a lot of like videos and stuff like that. And um, I think at that time I was still in radio. So I would like find these interviews and I would follow the people just to like watch what they're doing, how they're interviewing, to learn from people. And so, kind of like what VJ said, like you have this ability to make people be very comfortable during the interviews and they seem like they're having a good time. They want to divulge information. So I just liked how you interviewed people really. And I was kind of just watching, enjoying it because you interviewed some of like, favorite people that I've grown up listening to, but then also to like trying to learn the way to interview people. And so, yeah, it's around COVID. Yeah, during that time.
oh, I didn't realize. I didn't realize that you did. Okay, um, I would say that the Kenny Burns was one of the ones who I I, I got inspired by. Questlove Supreme was somebody who I listened to a lot, to get how his style was. Although Quest, if you ever watch or listen to Questlove, he will, he because he has a group of panels, so there's like four of them that will ask the guest a question. So Fontigolo will ask Babyface like, "Yeah, so when was the first time you wrote a song?" And then before Babyface answers, then Quest will say, "Yeah, yeah." Before you answer that, what was the time when you played the guitar? And so it's like, but we wanted to hear what fuck. So I learned a lot of what not to do and how to just be natural. But I made sure that, as I said, I was listening to, but I was also listening to, you got soul, watching others, and learning what they were asking, and but still trying to stay in my lane. Okay, Stevie.
It's interesting how in our how our paths have crossed, really, and the way it's developed. Because I never thought it would get this far. I never even planned any of this, but I was in the thick of my Afrobeats radio show years ago. And my show was like on IG, it looked like my show was the biggest Afrobeat show in the world, but really I'm on some little community radio station, and I'm being bombarded with like hundreds of Nigerian artists going, "Can you play my song? Can you?" And for some reason in my algorithm on IG, you turn up, and I'm thinking he's a Nigerian guy, but he's like, he's not doing Afrobeats, he's doing like New Jack Swing and soul, and I just to get a break, because my head was so in Nigeria at the time and what was going on over there. I started just like watching bits and bobs of your interviews, and I'm reading the comments, and a lot of them like saying, "Why didn't you ask him this? Why didn't you ask him that? And why didn't you ask about this track?" And I thought, this what you, he's getting all this harass. You know, I felt the same with these Afro. So I remember, I think I reached out to you. And I offered a bit of help, didn't I? I said, "Look, do you need any like information on some of the songs?" Because you was like, "I'm going to interview this person next." I said, "Oh, great! Ask him about the, you know." So I preload you with these questions. Do you remember? And I think that's how our little partnership ended up developing. Really, it's interesting. And I think I wanted to distance myself from that Afrobeat show because it was just doing me head in, to be quite honest. It was just doing my head in so much. And it was also dragging me back to my New Jack Swing days. And half of me's thinking, do I really want to go back 35 years? But I also felt there was unfinished business there because of what happened with VJ and Andrew NJ3. And as the years have developed, with Halftime, we got more involved. We've managed to pull VJ and Andrew on, and it's you know it's like a whole circle coming back. It's been very interesting, you know what I mean. But I've learned so much from you in terms of like interview style, questions, how to, you know, just empathy, how to listen to somebody. You know what I mean. That's the greatest thing that I think I've learned from your interviews is the way you just listen, and you do ask some very intelligent questions that I think I just wouldn't even thought of asking that. You know, at the right moments, you know, I've learned a lot from that. And I think also you've learned a few more New Jack Swing records. A few more. I think you had to get out your top 20. I think you knew about top 20 New Jack Swing album. I thought, come on, Nambi, we got to get you out in listen to some more other stuff. So yeah, it's been incredible. I mean, 6 years has flew by. I wonder. I'd spotted Lorena as well online on YouTube because I was watching her interviews on her website, and I'm thinking, gosh, she's putting in the work here with all these upcoming artists, and I just thought, you know, I said to you, we've got to get Lorena on. We've got to help her with her channel, try and get you know, because I just thought she was doing great work as well. And we got Lorena on, and I think she's seen the benefit of being on here as well. And like you say, you built a community up beyond Halftime. I think it's benefited us all, mate, to be quite honest. And you've got other people in this chat now. They're running around buying New Jack Swing records, record shops. It's brought us all together at the weekends. You know what I mean? And it's almost an escape from your daily work life as well. I've waffled on too much. That's in a nutshell. That's in a nutshell for me. The journey of 6 years.
Yeah, no, I think the reason why I had to put the comments because everyone was talking about some of their favorite interviews, and we'll definitely touch on them. Joseph put and Donnie Simpson, and no secret, I moved to America in '92. And the first thing I did was just watch BET and Video Soul. And I used to just watch Donnie Simpson interviewing people. And he had this smile. He just was so relaxed, never had a piece of paper, and he was just able to talk them through things. And when when I managed to get an interview with him, he said that his people showed him my interview with Don Robinson, and he said, "Oh, this guy's cool," and he agreed to come on. And I said, Donnie, you're one of the best I've ever, you and Larry King are the two greatest interviewers that I've ever seen, because what you guys do is that the guests don't feel as if they're being interrogated; they feel as if they're just talking to a friend. And he said he's seen the same in me, which was just awesome to hear. But that was what I had to learn, is just that you can come with a list of questions, but then these artists are used to being interviewed by journalists trying to get dirt and get information. What's the music like? Who produced it? And then off to the next. And so they're used to being media trained for that. But you can't be media trained for somebody who just wants to know who they are. And that takes them aback. And that's why after 2 hours, they start talking about their mom or their lost their puppy when they were 5, because it stops being an interview and it becomes a space where they can just talk because you're interested. And it's not just because you're trying to find information, it's just because you definitely are interesting. And so and Donnie says, my next question, if that was him, he says his next question is what they've just said. So he won't just say, okay, now I'm going to talk to this. He'll listen to them and then base and just build on that, and you can have a regular conversation. So that has really been some of the things, because I generally want to know, and I'll probably go to one of my other top 10 moments was Timmy Gatlin, because when I was interviewing him, I was thinking the New Jack Guy fans, there's so much that they wanted to know, and I have an obligation to ask those questions. And one of my top 10 moments was going through the Guy album, every song, and say, okay, let's talk about this. Um, Teddy's Jam. How did that come about? What was the story behind that? My business, merry-go-round. What was it? And it's because I don't know if there's any other place where the Guy album, the debut album, has been dissected song by song by song. And so I remember at that moment thinking, I'm responsible for the fans, and I said, I need to get them. I need to ask questions what fans would want to ask. That was always my thing. It wasn't about me. It was about the community. And as I said, when it came out, 10 people, 15 people had watched it, and we were fine by that. And one day, it just started to take off, and it just went viral. I don't know how, and that's when it just opened up another world. Yes, BJ, back to you.
And one thing I was going to say, I think because you come from a background as a therapist, I think that helps because you understand human psychology and you're able to understand when to pause, when to speak, when not to speak. And I think that makes a massive difference. It really does. It just does. Sometimes it's not about when you're speaking. Sometimes it's about when you're not speaking. And it's a famous quote by Miles Davis. Sometimes it's not the notes you play. It's sometimes the silence between the notes or something like that, words to that effect. And those silences that you have are everything, man.
Yeah. Well, see, we talk about Tisha Covington.
Oh, when she yeah, that was a rookie mistake. But when she,
so tell him what happened. Just
normally when I've been on interviews and you're interviewing female artists, at some point Nandi asks a bunch of questions and he gets them crying. They end up, oh, there's floods everywhere. They cry, and I'm like, oh, get her a tissue, bro. And Nandi's just there, chilled out. And I'm, get her a tissue. Are you okay, bro? And I thought, oh well. And then you said afterwards, Steve, just let him cry, mate. Just let him cry. Oh, fair enough, mate. Fair enough.
No, so okay, so I think she was talking about. So if anyone remembers Tisha Covington, she was signed up MCA.
It was Sony. Wanted
Sony, yeah, I think Columbia.
Columbia, that was
Columbia. So yeah, we were talking, and it was like, so what happened and stuff. And I think she talked about her manager. She was married to a manager, and he was controlling, and it was challenging. And then she got emotional, and you just needed a space and Stevie was quick to like, oh, okay, so can we move to something more happy? And I'm like, Stevie, no, please,
No,
next time.
the one, I think the worst one was when we had Paulie A on, and that came out of nowhere.
Okay, I can't remember that.
I can. You were sat asking some questions, and then she just started bawling. I'm like, what? Where did that come from? Well, I get it now, Namdi. I get it. I mean, like I say, Namdi knows. He knows what buttons to push. You know what I mean? He knows what buttons to get that reaction. And I'm almost sat there waiting for it. I know what he's going to do.
So the Miles Davis quote, the exact quote is, it's not the notes you play, it's the notes you don't play. That's the right quote. And that is what you are masterful at, Namdi. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah. Lorraine, any top accounts for you?
Sorry.
Any top interviews for you?
Oh, there's a lot.
That your
There's been
favorite?
a lot of interviews. I'll say one, of course, Donnie Simpson, because I think he's just amazing. So that was really cool to see that you had interviewed him, and I definitely had to check that out. Another one too was the producer J Dub, because
Oh.
I knew him from the song he did with Tank, but I didn't know like what else he did. So it was really good to see his story too. So that was one of my favorites too, to really learn about his journey and everything. And then of course, like you have Lily from SWV, Brian Alexander Morgan too was really special. Also the people from Uptown Records too. So yeah, there's a lot.
Okay. Tanya. So Tanya, who is TN07. Even when I started back 6 years ago, I remember Tanya because she's a massive Heavy D and the boys, as well as intro. And I remember, I was connecting just on a love for these artists. And if Tanya was not German, she would have been on the show because she's very knowledgeable about a lot of the Uptown stuff. She was trying to get me to interview Vasquez. Was it the
Nesto.
Nesto? Yes, and yes, and actually, she was trying to get me. We were trying to get Prince Marky D, but when we were, but he passed away within the week when she'd reached out to him for us to schedule stuff. But yes, lots of people talked about Daryl Simmons and Crystal Johnson. Yes, and Free from In Touch. Oh, that was Benson. Free from In Touch. Yes, I, I hope you guys prepared your list because it wasn't really about me always talking. Let me go to another one. Damien Holmes. So I've interviewed him 3 times, but the second interview I had with him, it was just before the Legacy tour, and it was just announced Guy was going to Legacy tour, and Damien agreed to interview for an interview, and he was in Atlanta, and his home in Atlanta, and it was stormy. There was storm. The weather was stormy, so he was downstairs set up, but then the signal was really bad, so he went up to his bedroom and he sat on the floor so that the signal we can get the best signal. And he did that throughout the whole 2 hour interview. And then by the time we finished the interview, it had already gone to midnight in the UK, and it was my birthday. And I said, Damien, well, it's actually my birthday right now. And he says, what? And he sang me happy birthday. And so for me, as much as people, and so that to me was like, he really, the fact that he was like, I'm just gonna go in my room and sit on the floor because the signal is better there. And then, as I said, it was birthday, and he just sang happy birthday. And so, definitely appreciate Damien for that gesture. That was, that's one of those memories that I have. And I kind of, as I said, we talked about the tour, upcoming tour and stuff. But it was though that was the moment that those moments like that really stuck by and stuff.
What about the this is like the fun dark side of doing these interviews. The artist no shows, Namdi. We've had a few, and I'm sure you've experienced this, Lorena. And I don't know. It's from my days of radio. I've just developed a zero tolerance for it. When you set up an interview with an artist through management, and you give them a time, you go in live, and then they don't show. Oh, it's like I get really, but and like you said, we've gone live a few evenings, haven't we? And the artist just didn't bother showing up, And then there'd be no, even a week later, there'd be no like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't, blah blah. It's just like no show whatsoever. I'm like, who do you think you are? You know what I mean? Who do you think? Well, they're probably a million selling artists. That's who they are, compared to That's who they are, and they didn't show up for us.
I would say that the reason why I pre-record is because of those situations where if I promote that, okay, tomorrow I'm going to bring in, Tevin Campbell. I've already booked him, and he's coming on, and he doesn't show up. Then everyone's saying, when is Tevin coming up? So I learned never to really promote anyone until it's finished. Because then there's no pressure on me having to say, oh yeah, when they're coming and it's going to come. The no shows. There were times when so if you ever see me post on my story, yes, I can't wait to this person's coming on in due time. It's me reminding them, hey, it's a night, don't forget. Because that's what. So if you ever see me post something, it's really me reminding the guests, hey man, don't forget it's tonight and stuff like that. But you get used to it, Sometimes they forget. Steve Russell from Troop, we were supposed to interview last week, and he didn't show up. And I emailed him and said, Steve, he says, oh, I can forgot. Then he gave me his telephone number. And so we spoke on the phone. He says, oh, yeah, when we rescheduled it for last Thursday. And I had to call him. And I called him to say, Steve, don't forget we're coming on. It's in about 20 minutes. He says, I completely forgot. I'm out here feeding the pigeons. Okay, I'll go back in the house and stuff. And, you can get, but he was probably, my goodness, I've interviewed so many, one of the nicest guys, to talk to. And so, but I get used to.
Is it because these artists don't live a 9-to-5 lifestyle? Is that the reason why they just forget or go?
Yeah, it depends on if they're promoting stuff. So majority of them, I'm not really promoting new music, and they're not coming on because I'm not a. It's very rare. I mean, I forgot to put in. I would tell you that the one person who was who when I first interviewed her, she said, "Okay, we've got 20 minutes, and you ask questions, and it should be fine." And I managed to get an hour out of her the first time, but I'd never done a 20. And that was Pamela Long.
Wow.
She gave me 20 minutes. She just said, "You've got 20 minutes, so let's just get it going." I got an hour, and I'm like, "Okay, good. I got an hour." She's been back for 7 interviews.
It's crazy, isn't it?
And so that just I should have put in it. But so the fact that was the case where she just gave me 20, and we've got it to an hour, and she comes back whether it's live or pre-recorded, and it's almost like every year, okay, Pamela, it's time for another interview, and she comes back out again, and because I do think if I can just catch them and just go on into their story. And I'll tell you my prep. 30 minutes before I go on live, I go on Wikipedia, look at their records, look at any little history, write them down, and that's all I have. So if I ever get stuck, I'll ask about that. We've got somebody who's just joining in.
Can y'all see me?
Great.
Hey, family.
Hi, Jackie.
So you got VJ,
I just-
Stevie, and Lorena here.
Hey, VJ. Hey, Lorena. Stevie,
Hey.
I'm still trying to figure out if I'm talking to you right now because you talked about my lashes so bad.
What your spider lashes?
Nothing is on today. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Nothing. I got bald eyelashes because of you.
How was your interview with Teddy? Did it go as you expected?
No, it went really well. I love the fact that um Teddy could be Teddy with me. You know what I mean? You know, his interviews with everybody else is what they are. Because you know it's just questions and it's that. So he's answering. But with me, you know, we have history, so he can't do the straightforward nonsense with me. We were laughing, acting stupid like we normally do, you know, when we get around each other. We clown, we always got jokes. It's always something he's like getting on me about. So he didn't wanna settle with the fact that it was his earplug that was giving feedback on the live because we were going through the radio, we sound fine. But trying to put it on IG Live, he had his earpiece in, so I think that's what was giving the feedback. But he blamed it on me the whole time and kept saying, echo, echo, echo. I'm like, shut up, Teddy.
You got some really interesting stuff out of him because I watched the whole thing, and I think about an hour in because I think for the first hour you was mainly just talking about what happened back in the 80s when you was both in a band, but then I think you dropped this question on him about Guy and Blackstreet, and I think he was a bit afraid to ask it, but he came out with like saying that I ain't ever getting back on stage with Guy again. I'm not, he was so adamant that it was over. That was pretty interesting.
Yeah, he said it's over. It's over. And I get it. I get what he was saying because, he's like, I'm gonna be 60 in October. And he was like, at 60, I'm not doing the same thing I was doing before. So I get it. And then I get certain things that certain things that I do know about. And then it's certain things that we know. You know what I'm saying? And that's why I was like, I already know he's gonna say no. I didn't want to ask because I knew he was gonna say no. I knew he was gonna say no. But I have love for, a lot of them. I have love for Aaron. I have love for Damien. I have love for Dave Hollister. Um, and Mark Middleton. And I didn't know a whole bunch of the members of Blackstreet. I knew Mark Middleton. I know Mark Middleton and I know Dave Hollister. Eric and them I just met, passing through, but I didn't really know them like that. So the ones that are dear to me was Dave Hollister and Mark Middleton. But it was one more member to Blackstreet. He was only in there for a second. Terrell. He is a good dude too. And even if he had called Terrell back, it's like, why you didn't call him? But you know what I mean? It's like, since he's finished with it and he let it go and he's like, he's going on to the next phase. I'm like, okay, I ain't even gonna ask about it because I already know.
Did he ever explain why he doesn't want to come on halftime chat?
No, he didn't. I didn't even ask him because we were so busy talking silly.
You couldn't ask
but I
him
will.
that.
I
You would have
will
really
call
put him
him.
on the spot there. If you'd have asked
I
him, you
will.
would really put him on the
I
spot.
will call him.
Yeah.
I already know. You already know why. Because basically everybody then came on already telling their side of the story. So at this point, he knows if he comes on that he'll just be telling his side of the story. So we know it's two sides and it's the truth. It's always the truth is in the middle. It's going to be everybody's side. So that's probably why he doesn't want to do it because everybody's been on already. But I asked him before, and I'll ask him again. I'll call him and ask him. I'm gonna tell him Namdi wants you on there. So I'll see if I can pull some strings with him. I'll try to sweet talk him and see if I can talk him into it. And be like, come on, Teddy, you already know what everybody just said already, so that it ain't like you don't know.
Oh,
I
good.
mean,
Yeah.
Namdi, what has been amazing though as well is the way Jackie's become part of Halftime Chat. I mean, you know, we
Right.
all loved your album, but we could never have envisioned this 30 years ago that we'd have Jackie McGee as like a regular host on the channel. Has just been that's been an amazing thing for us, you know, and getting all these stories and you giving us your time as well, you know. That's
Yeah,
been incredible.
I remember Jack because I remember when you were doing a Jackie's Closet on IG Live, and I was like, oh, good, it'd be great to get Jackie on the show, and I was, you know, during the chat out, you drop you drop a message, you know, can you come on an interview, but you know you're so busy interviewing and stuff, and it wasn't until you were first releasing uh, s- something on the world. Oh, was it
Was it If This World Were Mine?
No. Yeah, Riches of the World. No,
Oh,
is it?
Riches of the World. Riches of the World.
Yes. And then you start promoting. What's our friends that just passed? I forgot his name
Look at me. Oh my gosh, and you know I'm gonna be 60, so
now. Stevie,
I
the
be forgetting
promoter.
everything too. Um,
Oh, of course.
oh my gosh. We are terrible. And I was just saying I'm gonna post him. Oh my gosh.
We can't remember his name.
I'm having a senior moment. Oh
We
gosh.
all are. We all got his face. We know the guy's face. We know what he
Oh
did.
my gosh, this
We
is
know what he did.
horrible.
So there's a guy who he sadly passed away, but he used to promote. So Jackie,
Jay
um,
Ross. Oh my gosh, we
Jay
are the
Ross,
worst.
Jay Ross,
yes,
the boss.
Jay Ross, yeah.
Jay, he gonna fight me when he see me if we see each other
So
in
he,
the after spiritual realm.
yeah, so
He
he
gonna
put, and
fight
also
me.
he connected me with Nikki Howard. But anyway, so he connected me with Jackie, and I remember the first time Jackie comes on, and she's sitting in her car, and I'm thinking, oh God, this is a new one. You know, I thought because I knew you know, my halftime chat interviews are like, you know, an hour and a half, 2 hours, and so you need to, you know, have your you know, your laptop ideally, but you know you need to be able to charge it. Jackie's sitting in the car, and I'm thinking, oh, this is not going to go well. But you know, you know it, and then you know every episode, bar a few, it was always
In
jumped
the
in the
car.
car, and
That's
so
right.
I can't even count how many times you've been on, so that you don't count anymore. But it's definitely been a blessing. But we were reminiscing, and then I don't know if you, in your time, has ever seen any of the interviews on the channel. If you had any favorite moments over the 6 years.
I'm trying to think what was my favorite one that I saw. Um, I'm thinking which one did I see that I loved the most? Um, I watched because I always watch bits and pieces. I watched the one with Dawn. Um, I watched the one with, first of all, I thought it was amazing that you were able to have Donnie Simpson on with you because that's like right off the bat, that's legendary right there. You know, to have Donnie Simpson from BET, a host of Video Soul.
Mhm.
And just him giving you your props, you know, and then him saying that he sees you, you know, he sees you what you're doing. That's amazing by itself. Like
Mhm.
just from somebody that, you know, everybody couldn't wait to get on his damn couch, you know. So that's
Yeah.
I've never even, and it's crazy because I was on BET a couple of times and I hosted. I hosted Video LP for Madeline Woods
Wow.
a few times, and because she always requested for me to host, and I never thought I could host anything. I was scared out of my pants. But I never sat down with Donnie either. But I met him, but I never got to sit down with him. So him coming on with you and giving you your props, you know what I mean? And the other ones, like I love the one that you did with Woody, because you know Woody gonna go in.
Oh yeah, Woody.
Woody
Yeah, Woody. That's from
from
Drew. Well, formerly of Drew
Drew
Hill.
Hill.
Yeah.
And I love the one that you did with me and Reese telling all the stuff, you know, the
Yeah.
little industry stuff
It
that
was just, I think, for the first time Stevie understood about the dark side of the music industry, because
yeah.
we talked about going into the
I was
Sony building.
quite dig it out of him, really. Wasn't I? Like, come on, what's behind the curtain? Then tell us. We want to know.
Stevie want all everything that's from behind the curtain.
Totally.
And the thing is, you know, which is true, you have to kind of watch what you say, because you got all these people on IG and wherever else they're on, and they're like, you know, they're watching me. They always got this thing where somebody's watching now, and then they end up missing. Next thing you know, they gone. And they're like, oh, they committed suicide. Oh, hell no. You know, they didn't commit suicide. All of a sudden, they committed suicide because they was telling the truth. So some people, you know, they kind of want to watch what they say, so they won't get in trouble. Me, I walk with the Most High. I don't care. I'm going to say what I say. I'm like, Father, cover me. That's it. But yeah, that I didn't, I just think that, first of all, congratulations on your 6 years. I'm sure you didn't know that you would be on this long, and you're still going. So not only are you still interviewing, but you're still going. You have your countdown, which is great. You know, you have your other little specialties that you put together, and you know, you keep it going. And that's the best part of it, you keeping it going. And that you're able to keep it going. And then you got Lorena, Stevie, and now you got what's your name? I can't see the thing. It's DJ. What is it?
VJ.
What is it, VJ? That's your name, VJ? I'm sorry, VJ.
Okay.
I can't see because I don't have my glasses on, so I don't even see you. All of y'all are little spots right now to me. I can't see nothing. I can't see nothing. I just know that the lightest skin one is Stevie. That's all I know. That's all I can see. I can see Lorena. She at the bottom with me. I can see her. Yeah, I'm sorry, VJ. Forgive me, baby. I apologize.
That's okay.
But
I wanted to ask
no,
you something.
I
wanted to ask you something. Did you ever fight Omar Chandler for the microphone when you were in Total Climax?
Did we ever fight for the microphone?
Fight for the microphone to say, I'm going to sing this bit or anything like that? Because Omar Chandler and you, the same song just sounds like magic.
No, we fought a lot. Like, just play fighting. Omar was a bully, so he would bully me. He would bully me all the time because he was, of course, taller than me, and he was a chubby dude. So he talked junk all the time. Oh my gosh, you could not tell him he was not the dopest singer on the planet. He was so fun with that, and I miss Omar. That was my boy. That was really my boy.
Could you have ended up on his album? Could you have ended up on his album? Was that ever?
I mean, we never talked about it because
him and Audrey Wheeler did a duet on his album. I don't know. Was that ever put to you?
Yeah, no, I was already gone, you know, doing my own thing. So, you know, I never did get a call to say, okay, do a duet with Omar. No, they never called me. That would have been dope though. And he know I would have done it, but only the Most High knows where I was at the time. I have no idea where I was.
Wow.
None.
I'm sorry, I was being rude there. You were in the middle of a point, and I just wanted to see if you and Omar ever fought over the microphone. I don't know why I felt like asking that, but as I said, the idea of you and Omar Chandler on the same song, we never got to hear any of it, and it just sounds like something that would have been magical.
Yeah, amazing. That would.
And then you add Teddy Riley into the mix. Total Climax is the group that we should have heard that we never got to hear. So I just
Yeah.
want that to you.
No, it's true. It's true. It would have been hot. It would have been great. It really would have been great. Because Omar, he knew my voice and I knew his voice. So it would have been a heck of a daggone duet. That's for sure. Definitely.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I mean, Lorena, you've done a couple of episodes with Jackie. How's it been having a legendary artist during our countdowns?
I think it's great. Like I never would have imagined I'd be able to like be in company like this. So it's been like an amazing experience to like be on lives, multiple lives with Jackie because grew up listening to her music. Her music was played in my house. So to be on live and to have that conversation and for her to kind of be like an older sister, it's like it's really cool. And then, you know, I have all those moments with you guys on the live doing like the top 10 and those have been fun, of course. And then hearing Jackie and Stevie go back and forth. So it's always a good time.
No, Lorraine, you've really like you came at a time you really helped us out because there was a point on the podcast where a lot of the viewers and a lot of our loyal viewers were rightly saying, why is there no females on the podcast giving their views? And we'd have private conversations saying we need to get some ladies on giving their perspective on music. And I kept watching your channel, and I'm thinking, I don't know if you knew all the past stuff or whether you was into your upcoming act. And I had to reach out and say, look, do you want to come on? Because I knew you'd be really with your opinions and what you're thinking about music. And I'm so glad you did. You know
Yeah,
what I
no,
mean?
thank you so much
You
for
know,
bringing
and
me.
Namdi's stolen you from me. Namdi's stolen you from me.
Okay, let us say this.
We've got to get this girl on the
He was
podcast.
banned from joining us with Brian McKnight because he does not appreciate good music, and so he's been upset the fact that he know he doesn't like Brian McKnight, but he just was upset that he wasn't invited. But he would have been a poppy trooper. Rolando, remember that time when I think we were doing Full Moon, and Darkchild joined, and I heard you say, "Oh wow."
Yeah.
She said, "Oh."
Because it's something that I would never expect to happen. Like we have, you know, Jackie on the live and then Darkchild's gonna come on the live. I was like, oh, okay, the whole big thing now. It's something I would have never thought would happen. So it's like moments like that is like really special that you bring people in, and that's because you created these great relationships because you make people feel so comfortable. And the interviews are always great, so people always want to check back in. People that you've interviewed in the past, they come in, they like what you do, so it just creates like a really good community. And so for me and my like little podcast out here in Canada, to have that moment to share with you guys, it's really funny and special. So I'm always gonna remember those things.
I think it was important for me to not go viral chasing those things or attacking other people because you never wanted to you want to create a safe space where people can come in. And I've had artists say, yeah, we did this, and it's not my job to challenge you. You've got the community who will watch and say, no, you didn't, but that's not on me. And I'll never want to set anyone up. Now, the reason why I like to do the live is because when I interview, I don't have a voice. So if a guest is saying all this stuff, I'm listening and great. And I wanted at one point to have a voice, but a safe space. And it would have, formerly of Drew Hill, he was the first person that came on, and we were talking. I think we talked about R. Kelly, our thoughts about him. We talked about Luther Vandross. Then Sheldon joined us, and so this was a space just to talk and stuff. And then Woody had to he stepped back for a bit. And then then with Sheldon, but Sheldon was very deep in his stuff, which had a very different audience, and so I think from there, and I would give credit to You Got Soul, because I remember they used to do reviews of of albums that came out in a certain year or stuff like that. And I just took that idea and I thought, oh, it'd be great to just celebrate a song and an album and how it goes that way. But I know that I needed to have a team of people that I can just have fun with, and because it creates an environment for everyone else. And it's, and please, it's not about me, and it's not about me saying now, okay, guys, tell me how good I am. No, it's really about us being able to create a positive space, because it was born out of lockdown, which was really bad for a lot of people. A lot of people lost. My dad died during COVID, and so it was a tough time. I remember some people used to comment about that, losing their mums to cancer, doing that during the lockdown, and it was almost. And I used to read every comment that was going on and respond. It got too tough, but I was reading that and seeing how people were struggling around the world, and the little I could do was to try and share these things, and that was always the case for me. I think another highlight that I put down was getting to finally have DJ Cassidy, and because a lot of the people he was having on his shows, I was talking to them and
Yeah.
getting him, and he acknowledging what I was doing, saying that we were both doing the same thing. I'm like, we're both doing the same thing. You're on a different league. And he was like, no, because we were showcasing these people and the fact that you could get, whether it was Bow-Legged Lou or Elder Barge and all these people to come on and share their story. That in itself for him was impressive. And it almost gave me a sense that we were doing for him, we were doing the same thing, but just in different ways,
Mhm.
and that's been something that I've just been humbly proud about.
Have you had bow-legged Lou on?
Oh, 2 or 3 times.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes, yes,
That's family. He's a good dude. Lou is good. He's a good dude.
yes. I think the last time I had him with his two brothers,
Oh
and
yeah, good, good. Yeah.
then
With Paul
Paul.
Anthony
I
and
think we went on. Paul Anthony at the end says, "Okay, I have to say this. There's something about you that I do not understand, because how the hell have you gotten me on this to interview for 2 hours? That never happens." So they all laughed, and Bo was saying, "No, Namdi's a great guy," and he was like, "No, I don't do interviews like this. And you got me sitting here for 2 hours, man. That it takes something." And so that was always something that I
that's
had.
your that's your spirit. You're very humble. And that's what people pick up from you. You're very humble. And even though you have, Stevie that's not humble with you, uh, I'm just messing with you, Stevie. You know I love you. I love you. But even though you do have, the not so humble Stevie that yell at people like me, um, we still know that you are the humble one. No, Stevie's actually very humble too. So I give y'all the credit. And so is Lorena. She's such a sweetheart. And I owe you your interview. And sorry, because every time you try to get me Maddie sick. But
Come on, Jack.
my
I like
man,
to give you a poke. I like to just give you a poke every now and again.
yeah,
Give you a
just
poke. Like,
send it, send it, send it.
yeah.
He's so silly. Um, but I'm grateful. I'm grateful to everything that you have given back to us, Namdi, because without your platform, a lot of us wouldn't have been able to be heard. And just like they took a piece, Golden Era Stories took a piece of the interview that we did, 3.5 years later, and it
Mm.
was like, pay Jackie her money. So it
So that's
started a whole bunch of mess, but
that's the salt
it,
and pepper interview, part of it for expressions. And when we had, it was just a small, like, oh, you did expressions and you talked about it, but then you later says you've forgiven them. It's out the way. So the way it was clipped up, it felt as though, yeah, man, they still owe me money, and so everyone got upset. And
Well, I mean, don't get it wrong. Even with stuff like that, when we say we forgiven somebody, that don't mean we forgot that you got to give us some money. I ain't forget about my coins, but I forgive you. No, and at the time I did. The Most High put on my spirit, let the fight go. He was like, don't fight no more. Just let it go. He never told me I'm not gonna get my money. He just said, let the fight go. Sometimes we gotta let stuff go and allow the Most High to deal with it. People that say God, y'all say God. I used to say God, but I say the Most High, and I call him by his Hebrew name, Yah. So that's it. He said, let it go. I had to leave it. I had to leave it alone. Even when I took down the video that Golden Evans put up, and I copied it and put it up, I took it down because me and Salt had a conversation, but it's still not settled, and it still has to be settled. So, but I don't have no animosity in my heart, but I want my money and I want my credit. That's it. I ain't mad at nobody. I ain't mad at nobody. But I just came to jump on, so because y'all know I got to go back to work. I got to do Uber. That's why I'm always in the car. I'm a normal person, still fighting the record labels for my coins. And you got to do what you got to do. So, and there's nothing wrong with anybody being, being humble and being brought down to where they need to be brought down to in order to keep you humble. There's nothing wrong with you doing Uber Eats, whatever you got to do, DoorDash, whatever you got to do to make your money, do it. You can't not feed your family because you're trying to stay in the music industry and be this glamorous person or whatever, but you're not getting paid. You're not getting anything. You'll starve. Your children will starve. So I got to do what I got to do. Me and Madison, we need some groceries today.
Now, what we all need to do now is everyone who's watching this, call Uber in Delaware, order something. Jackie just has to, she don't need to move, just have it delivered where she is. You know what I mean? Go back to and she can stay there now.
Go back to Atlanta, go back to New York, right? One of the two.
Yeah, call Uber up in Delaware and say, we all want McDonald's like where Jackie is now.
Only Stevie, y'all.
No, I appreciate.
But I gotta jump off. And
I appreciate Jackie. Like that. Yeah, I knew
No,
that
you
you're
already
busy
know.
time. Yeah,
No,
definitely. Yeah.
I'm just doing Uber. I ain't busy. I'm just doing Uber Eats.
Yeah, no,
I wanted to jump on because you're my brother, and I truly adore you, Namdi, and I thank you so much for everything that you've ever done for me. You put me on more than the law allows, and we have fun, and I thank you for that. So we're gonna keep doing it. It was nice meeting you, VJ. Lorena, I'll see you soon.
Yes.
That light skin one that I can't see
Yeah,
in the
I'll
corner.
get you some new eyelashes. Don't worry, Jack. I'll get you some new eyelashes.
I need more eyelashes, Stevie. Okay. I'll see y'all. I love you guys. Later. Bye, y'all.
Yeah. See. Yeah, I think this is one of the things that to me is definitely a blessing is to be able to.
Do you know what, Namdi? Do you know what my biggest fear is? And I realise this with Pep Guardiola leaving City, and I'm thinking, when it's my biggest fear is when half time chat ends. It's like, oh, what am I gonna do?
You don't want to think about that now. Forget it. Not thinking about that. This is the 6-year mark.
This is he's the Pep Guardiola.
He's got another 50 years of this. 50 years. You're going to be
the internet, DJ of R&B and swing. Everything. He's the Pep Guardiola.
He is the Pep Guardiola. He's the Pep Guardiola, man.
So I would tell you this: that every December, I always think so. By the time I get to the end of the year, there's a part of me that always thinks, okay, well, we've done it. We've run the race, and it's time to. And I'm always ready, and I always feel the I almost feel a calling to continue. But I'm always ready at the end of the year because it can be sometimes challenging trying to get guests and disappointments and some videos, some interviews do better than others.
Mate, you're listening to interviews. You're listening to people for like 3 or 4 hours at a time, late into the night. listeners, right? He works all day. He's got a job all day. Comes home to his kids, and then at some point, 1 o'clock in the morning, he's got to sit through a 3-4 hour interview. That's how crazy it is. That's the work you're putting in, mate. I don't understand how it gets exhausting. You know? That's crazy.
So as I said, but you know, when you do an interview with a guest who probably people aren't too familiar with, and it doesn't seem to do well, so that's why I I I don't do promote. I try not to promote more than one interview at a time, because if you've given me 2 or 3 hours of your time, then I have got an obligation to try and make sure as many people get to watch that as possible. The hardest thing I've noticed now is trying to push and promote on Instagram. That's taken a lot more energy out of me.
Wow.
And some weeks, like I've not even, I've not done the Rex stuff. I've not, just because, so that becomes more of a chore over as time goes on, where it's like there's too much pressure in putting clips on Instagram, and so I had to stop replying to every message. I would say up to a year ago, any comment on Half the Chat, I would always respond. But now it's too hard to respond to everybody, and I don't use bots or anything like that. I'll read all the messages, but to respond, it just started taking a toll and stuff.
But that's growth, isn't it? That shows that you know your capacity and your mental health. You're a therapist, so your mental health matters too, dude. So you know that by reaching out and saying thank you for the message or replying to every little thing is madness. You can't do it. If you're receiving that many messages, you got to protect you as well, man. Right?
Yeah. Yes. I do remember the but it's important. I remember when I first started, and for those who might have been at the beginning, I used to I remember just getting upset when people would say, "Yeah, you talk too much. You don't let your guests answer, or you don't ask the right questions." Someone who will say, "How did you even get to interview this person in the first place?"
I remember all of that. Yeah, I've seen all of those.
And you'd get them, and you're thinking, "Wait a minute, I'm doing the best you can, and they're watching for free. It's on YouTube, and they're criticizing." And so I was thinking, wow, you've got to deal with that. Now, there's sometimes I get some constructive feedback that I could use. So I learned not to be long-winded with questions, learning very quickly not to allow the guest speak and not try and interrupt or anything like that, and giving them space. But that is stuff that, as I said, over time it happens. And then even if you do get the criticism, learning not to fight back and not take it personal. So those have been challenges over the years and stuff. Yes. Yes. I mean, Reed, before I get back to Lorena, any other things that you've seen over the years that stood out for you?
I think an interesting one was Timmy Gatling. Very interesting because, as you know, I'm a big Guy fan. And Timmy Gatling was the nucleus. He was the reason why Guy existed in the first place. He was that guy. And nobody had really got that. What you got, the questions you asked, and it filled in a lot of blanks for me as a Guy fan. And I love that. And that was great. And I can see how well you connect. It's another person who you connect with so well. And I love those interviews more, the ones where you really connect with an artist, because then I say, okay, this is not an interviewer with an artist. These guys are friends, and that becomes a completely different conversation. Those are my favorite. But Timmy Gatling was one, and another one for me, which I think really resonated, was when me and you did the Rex and Effect interview, and that was because we were seeing how we work together. And I found that interesting. So for the first 3 hours, this is for guys that have seen the interview, they'll know. But for the first 3 hours, Namdi was asking a lot of questions, and I couldn't get any questions in. I was like, I've got a list of 50 questions that I've just sent. I've got 20 of my own, and I'm not getting.
Poor guy sat there. The poor BJ sat there for 2 hours, and nobody knows he's there. He might as well be.
Yeah. And then at about the 2 hour or 3 hour mark, yeah. Remember, we started the interview at 9 o'clock in the evening UK time. So at 12 o'clock at night, I'm a nocturnal person, so I'm wide awake. You are falling asleep. I'm like, Namdi's gone to sleep. This is my opportunity to ask all the questions now. We're good. Let's go. And then it became a very different thing. I found that a really fascinating, interesting experience, because me and you working together in that capacity, it was a learning curve, and I loved it. I really enjoyed that experience with you. So
what you learned, VJ, was you have to wait an hour before he starts falling asleep, and then you can get your questions in.
When it's bedtime for him, we're good.
No, I think with every interview, there's the story arc, how you got together, the hits, and then where you are now. And I think the reason why, as I said, 30 minutes before every interview, I just go into Wikipedia just to get a quick bio. No heavy research on the songs and all that stuff, because it becomes a lot more natural. So I've got, if we're stuck at any point, I could then say 92 you came out with this, what was going on. But it's really just about starting, because I remember interviewing Karen White, and I said, so where did you start? She grew up in LA. She used to run track, but she used to get muscle pulls when but she was faster. She could have been an athlete if she had just continued, but she just got into the music. And she said, I've never really thought about that. And so all of a sudden you start to realize that when you start it everyone comes in with this gate, and then you're just going through some of their history, this when they were young, and they're like, man, I've never remembered this, and then they start lowering, and then as they're talking, they don't remember that they're being recorded. They don't remember that they don't really know who you are, and then they become more vulnerable about what they're doing. Tracy Spencer. How I got to interview Tracy Spencer. So she was very good friends with Show Shock from Show Shock and Colin. And I managed to get to an interview with him. The day we arranged the interview happened to be what would have been the birthday of his wife, Nikki from Brownstone. And so it was normally would have been a tough day, but I didn't realize on the day we were having the interview. We spoke for about 3.5 hours. And at the end, he says, this was really refreshing, because not only did I get to relive my story, but at a day like this, it was a tough day, but this was really helpful. And, then I said, oh, can you help me get Tracy Spencer? And he says, okay, I'm going to call her right now. So we finished. And then he calls Tracy and he says, Tracy, you've got to do this interview. I've just spent 3.5 hours. It was one of the best in my life. And Tracy says, what, 3.5 hours? No, I don't do that kind of. But she agreed to do the interview. And so by the time we finished, it was 3 hours and 40 minutes.
What?
And then I said, Tracy, wow, thanks for spending the last 3.5 hours with me. And she looked out the window. She says, when we started, it was sun. It's now dark. I can't believe I've just spent 3.5 hours sitting with you, telling you my life story. And it was because, as I said, you start from the very beginning. Everything's important. The name of her dog, where she went to school. But she had a story about her mom and dad, why she disappeared from the industry, how she went and cared for them when she was there when the dad first died, and then supporting the mom until the mom died, and then going into college and stuff like that. So everything was a story. So when you get to 3.5 hours, you can do that because they're telling you they're telling you this life. When how many people would love to sit down and just tell you their life story because somebody's interested? And that's why if I focused on the music, oh, remember this song and this, that's you can be detached from that unless you wrote it and you're invested in it. But most times it's like, yeah, it's the music, but it's about me. And so that's been one of the secrets that I hope people will take. Just be interested in people, and you get better interviews as opposed to being interested in the music and they just give you very surface level stuff. Jacqueline, thanks very much. Thanks for the time and energy watching Michael three times. She's
Wow.
watching Michael three times. Yes. Lorena, I mean, have you found that to work if you, when you're interviews, that sense of being very person centered as opposed to focus on the music?
Um, I think it depends because a lot of my artists are new artists, so sometimes it's like their first time doing an interview. So sometimes it's like trying to pull things out of them. They don't really know, even though I'm trying to make it as a conversation. They just kind of give like one or two word answers. But it does with like the older artists that I've got into interview. It's been really good to just talk to them about stuff outside of music because they've gone through so much and so they're willing to share that information. So it's always good, especially when you do like a long interview, but then they're actually happy about it. Not that it like took forever, but they're like, oh, I really enjoyed this, or thank you for asking me this, and different things like that. So I always try and keep that in mind, but then I know for some of the newer artists, sometimes it's hard to do that.
Well, Stevie, you witnessed that when you had your first live interview, and you went over 2 hours. What would you say you learned from that?
Um, Everything you said before about the beginnings, I was trying to get as much of the person's beginnings as I could before I actually went into the music. And I think that actually led to Mickey opening up about his depression and things like that. I mean, it was, and again, I've learned from you in that moment. I thought just to listen, really, you know, and he felt comfortable enough that he wanted to even, say he went through that. But yeah, that was a long interview. That was a long interview.
Did you know? Did you feel long for you, or how did it feel?
I really wanted to get his backstory, and I was happy that he told me everything that I wanted to know. You know what I mean? And there was some gems in there about the New Jack Swing days where he could have had a deal with MCA Records, which I just had no idea about. But let's talk about the infamous, and God bless the soul because she's not with us. One of the biggest losses of last year, apart from D'Angelo, was Angie Stone. You called her to do an interview, and she's in bed. The girl's in bed. She's in her covers, and you're going. So can you tell all the international viewers where he was born and raised? Because goddamn, I'm not telling you. I've told them like a million times before.
So
yeah, she got really big. Ezekiel's asking what's the most. He just dropped it. What is the most awkward interview you've done?
Yeah, Ezekiel
one
likes
of the most
that.
awkward starts you've had.
It's
Stone in bed.
it's in my so I my top memorable interviews was Angie Stone laying down during the interview. It was one of the things where we agreed to the interview, and it almost like it took her by surprise, and she was like, "Okay, my phone isn't charged," and then she's walking and says, "Okay, I'm going to charge it in my bedroom," and she's plugging it, and she's just sitting there, and I'm like, "Okay." Yeah, it was challenging, the most challenging. It is the most challenging interview that I've ever done. And at one point, I'm thinking, okay, this is not going well. And after about, I think, half an hour, it ends, and then it was to be, it was rescheduled where she was a lot more better. But then she still didn't give me as much, and so it was one of my most challenging guests. Even that she came on twice, um, but the first time that she was just laying in bed and and not responsive, and almost felt like, I don't know why you're here. This is not what I wanted. So, but I appreciate she gave me the chance, and we got a few things out of it. But You just
I
got to
felt like
roll with
one
it.
of them artists that had just done too many interviews. That had just, she's done far too many interviews in her career. And she was just done with it all.
I think you're looking at it the wrong way. I think she was so comfortable with you, Nam, that she thought, you know what, I'm just going to lie here like this. And just all right, hey, so what do you want to talk about?
Yeah, yeah, it was very similar to that. Daryl mentioned Tabitha Duncan of Cut Close. She's done very few interviews, and I got her during lockdown, and she was quite abrasive, almost like yeah, she was yeah. It was a very strange one. I got her longest interview she's ever done, about 2 hours, and there were parts where I mean, what was fascinating about what she said was when she was driving in Atlanta, she got the call. She heard on the radio that Cut Close, that they were looking for a replacement for Cut Close. Not they're replacing two people to join Athena. So she was listening to that. She talked about the relationship with Keith, and now you see her the Cut Close perform with Keith. But at that time, Keith had sort of distanced himself from them and stuff, and they were talking about the healing relationship. And what was I think the most fascinating thing about with Tabitha is that when Cut Close broke up, it was such a hard thing for her that she got a job as a nanny for this rich white league family in Atlanta, so that she couldn't be seen in public. Because it was like embarrassing because everyone's people knew about who she was, if you knew her and knew the group, so she couldn't just get a regular job. She got to get that job, and so that was so fascinating about how hard it is for our artists. Before that time, I used to think they were all multimillionaires because of the videos, not knowing that they fell on hard times when they lost their deals. So yes, so those that was definitely a good one. Um, somebody Klinger says that I do like these ones. Tracy Spencer, yes. Brian from Sean has got his own stuff. So it'll be hard to get him now, but Brian Abrams from Calling Me Bad. Yes, he was very real and honest about his own struggles with addiction and how that have led him to have to leave the group and his troubled past. I think his dad abandoned the family when he was less than a year old, and his mum was an alcoholic and had multiple men around, and it was very challenging for him. And he found the group as his base. He got offered a solo deal at Uptown, but he was afraid to take it because he didn't want to leave the group because they were his only family. And so he stayed loyal to the group because he needed family. So that was really interesting, just having Brian. Yes. Any more highlights, guys? Because before I'd run through my.
Put some of the viewers' comments up. We've had loads of viewers while we've been talking. The viewers have just dropped loads of comments. I don't want to ignore them all, really.
Mandeep's commented just now.
Oh, but I will say, doing the interview with you with Robert Bell from Cool in the Gang, that was funny too because we only had I think like 15, 20 minutes, but then it exceeded that that time. We were both like,
Yes.
what do we do?
Yeah, I mean, because that's generally what the team would give you, but when you start to probe into and you can get them in talking, then I think we went up to 35 minutes or so with him and being able to ask the right type of questions.
Yeah.
I'm just seeing here now. Let me. There was a another one on my list was Nitty Green from the group Rift. They were the guys in Lean on Me, singing in the bathroom, and so Elise was the one who connected me with him when he was telling his story as to how they how the group riff got formed and how their story was changed the school song and how that was sort of the base in the interview in the film. He kept saying during the interview, "Man, you ask good questions," because Nitti had his own podcast at the time, and so he kept saying, "Man, you really ask those questions." Hearing that was a validation that, oh, I'm actually doing a good job. And that then really gave me confidence that, okay, I'm really doing good. So I put that down as one of those things that one of the memories that I have about of one interview where just he constantly validated me by saying, man, I really like those questions. That's a good question. And realizing, okay, gave me more and more confidence. Another one was Elder Barge. I don't even know how I managed to get him, but his management, I posted on his YouTube channel. It'd be great to get him, and I get a call back saying, "Okay, could you let's try and arrange something with him." And this was almost like a dream to talk to him. Um, Normally, for those who might know, I normally do my interviews at 5 o'clock Eastern because it's 10 o'clock UK time. So I put the kids in bed, the house is quiet. So 10 o'clock at night, mind you, I do get to get up at 5:30 in the morning the next day. So 10 o'clock at night. So if I do an hour and a half, it's 11:30. If I do 2 hours, it's midnight. So that just helps balance things out. Um, so L was supposed to be scheduled but he's in LA, but I still had it at 5:30 Eastern, which is 5 o'clock Eastern, which is 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock Pacific. Um, we're about to go live, then I get a call from management saying, "Oh, L has stuff to do. Didn't know this. He won't be available for another 2 hours." And I was like, 2 hours? That's midnight. And then I have to go into 2 in the morning. But because and I had to learn my lesson because I was supposed to interview Keith Sweat in 2000 and I think 2020, and I was like, oh no, it's late. Can we reschedule? And I've never been able to interview him again. And so I said, I'm never going to pass up an opportunity. So if I have to sleep a little bit later, if I had to take coffee, whatever it is, I need the guests more so than they need me. So
No, can I just say something? I think I agree with you a little bit there, and you don't want to miss an opportunity, but then you are also in a different time zone, and I love Keith, but you're in the UK, and if somebody's showing up late like that, that's also not your fault, is it? So I'm just saying, like,
yeah. So this was, as I said, this was 2020, 21. So I'd just been a year into this stuff, not even up to a year, and getting the guests is the thing. And some of the most artists generally would work with the time frame, that I give. Then a few, and when in the West Coast, it's a little bit tougher because that's a lot earlier for them. So L shows up at midnight. And he's there. I'm like, damn it, this is Elder Barge.
Wow.
I was looking at Elder Barge sitting in front of me, soft spoken, and I'm like, and I've seen a few interviews where he's just there, quiet and introverted. And I'm thinking how to get the best out of him. And and so we go and I try and mirror so gave him the space to be open. He talks about being bullied by his family, talked about writing songs, and I have some key highlights. Secret Garden, let's talk about that. Black Man United, when Tevin Campbell sings and he just almost shooks, and just understand his brother Bobby, some of the songs, why he didn't write this, and so I had some of the key highlights that I wanted to get, and where he was at now, but I didn't touch into any of the drugs or what his family's the drug past or the marriage agenda, because those are the things that could push it away. So it has to be centered around them. Um, but I got an interview that most Elder Barge fans said that was one of their favorite interviews from him because I gave him that space to be himself, and I didn't. I noticed that he's a very shy introvert, and I came down to that level so he can feel more dominant in that. But yeah, it can be. Um, Mr. Dalvin from Jodeci, the very first interview, he's been on 3 times, but he does first interview. It was another one where he was in the studio, so I had to wait till midnight to do the interview. I think no, I had to wake up at 4 in the morning because of the time he was going to come to the studio. And it was another thing. If I wanted the interview, I had to make it happen. So I went to bed.
Do you
woke-
switch your phone off at night, Namdi? Do you ever switch your phone off at night? Because I'm
No,
thinking it. Here's a scenario, just a scenario. Someone calls you at 4 your phone goes off at 4 in the morning and says, "Listen, Janet Jackson wants to talk to you. Can you be ready in half an hour?" Would you get yourself out of bed at 4 in the morning to be ready in half an hour? Do the
if
interview.
no, so if I got that call, if I do it at 4, I know I can still get myself ready and for the school run and everything in the in the morning. But no, the phone is there because I've got my brothers in the States and stuff. So in case anything happens and stuff. But yeah, but as I said, it's I know it depends on the guest. As I said, if you're talking about a janitor or an elder barge, like Delvin, he's been on the show 3 times, but because he felt comfortable the first time, and I wasn't talking. Oh, what about Devontae? We don't see him around and stuff, and I wasn't doing any of that, and it was really about him. He felt that somebody's interested in me and my music, and he knows I'm a big supporter of his music. So that's why he came the second time. He's come the third time, and I think he's releasing new music later this year. And he's already says, yeah, once I'm ready to release that, he knows he's going to come on, and because he knows it's a safe space, and so that's some of the sacrifice that I've learned to do, based on on the artist. Yes. Um, another one I mentioned was Dawn Robinson. My first interview with her, and yet what went viral was when she said that Raphael didn't pay her, so she lost her house. But what I appreciated in the interview was that I got her to sing "Don't Let Go" at the end, and I thought that was going to be I thought that was going to be a regular theme of on the show that I'll get the guests to sing. I soon realized that most artists like no, we're not. Our voice isn't ready for that. But Dawn did sing, and that I'm just there thinking that's just Dawn Robinson singing that famous part and "Don't Let Go." So that was good. And Tori mentioned Tony Terry. When I interviewed him, and that was 2021, I was so it felt like the relationship was so genuine that I thought I've got a new best friend. I thought we'll be doing, and I think he said a lot that he shouldn't have said, like you were about the industry and stuff. That almost like he just stopped the interview and said, my phone is about to die. Can we reconvene in an hour? I'm like, Tony, definitely. And I never heard from him again.
Wow.
And so if you ever watch the interview, it stops where it might seem natural, but it stopped when because he was saying that he had to charge it and go on, get ready for his YouTube live, Facebook live, but we'll finish up. And unfortunately, he never came back. And yeah, so that was a real. But I had to edit it in a way that it doesn't look. If you watch it, the way it ends, you think it naturally ends, but no, never got to get him back and to finish that.
And without mentioning names, are there anybody that you've interviewed? No names, no names. I'm just getting that out there first and foremost. But are there any interviews you've done and you think I am never ever calling that person or messaging that person for an interview ever again? And if I never have contact with them ever again, it's all good.
But I can think of one. I can. Think
I don't need
one.
names. We don't need names. You don't need to name and shame. It's not about naming and shaming. But have you had any feelings like that?
Um,
Or do you love everybody?
yeah, I don't know. I think you know. I think Angie Stone was a rock star. So when she did the first interview, it felt embarrassed, but she still came back the second time. But I didn't feel the warmness. Um, but and I remember when I interviewed Joe Little, there was a first surprise. He was on his way to a show, so he was being driven to the show, and the signal was going in and off. And I that time I felt well, we this was scheduled. You should have known it was at 3 o'clock, and you should have said if you were, because then it's hard to communicate. So I was disappointed with that, but under but learned that people at that time they were doing their shows. So I don't know. I don't.
What about the artist who was, we don't have to name him, but he kept, every answer he kept saying was, well, it'll be in my book. It'll be in my book. That's all he kept saying. Well, it's going to be in my book that's coming out in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm like, dearie me, man.
Yeah, I think.
Every time, that's all he said.
Yeah, I
They
think
actually come out with a book.
Yeah.
Yeah, we came out and went away, but I think one of the things about that was that, I was saying to myself, the problem is people are going to. So when the interview went out and people were commenting like, "What is the point of showing up then?" We're not even about a book and stuff. And I think I knew that it's not about me. People are going to watch this and not be appreciative of you if you think you're trying to hide stuff. Look at Brandy's book. She comes out and puts, yeah, Wanye took me when I was 12 years old or whatever, 15. Rodney just gave me songs I didn't like. And then all of a sudden people want to see the main story. So I think this guy probably didn't realize that you got to give a little so people can feel like they're appreciated. But when you're like, nope, I'm not going to go in depth, and it wasn't to his benefit. So, I wouldn't think twice about getting anybody back. No one is, as I said, I don't believe there's anyone that has gotten me to a point where, yeah, never appreciate and never bring you back.
If there are, who are the 5 artists or groups, bands, whatever artists that are no longer around? They could have passed away that you wish you could have interviewed, and who are the 5 that you haven't interviewed that you'd still like to interview? Your top 5.
Good question, that, VJ. That's a good question.
Top 5, Heavy D would definitely have been one. Even though Eddie, Eddie sent me a message at 2 in the morning saying, "Sorry, I couldn't give you my top 10 because I needed at least a week and a half to do so." But Heavy would have definitely been in there. Michael, of course, would have definitely been in there if he was still alive. So that's 2 out of the 5. Um, um, Andre Harrell, Mr. Uptown, just to understand the whole stuff. I think because I've interviewed his right hand man, which was Jimmy Love, just getting Andre's sort of take on Uptown, and because that was the music that influenced us. By that, if I think of 2 more who you said that they're no longer around.
Yeah, they've passed away.
Yeah, so those would be those 3. Strangely enough, I don't think. Yeah, I was gonna say Whitney Houston, but I don't know if Whitney. I can't remember the last time Whitney was in a space where you're gonna get a good interview and stuff. And I think because there's been so much public stuff, I don't know how much of her life would have been easy to talk about. Um, I, yeah, I'm struggling now to think after Heavy, Andre, and Michael. I'm definitely struggling to think of. There may
That's
be.
okay. You can come back if you can't think. But what about 5 that are living then? Who have you got that you'd like to interview?
5 that are living. Teddy, it's almost, there was a time I thought I set up this channel so I can interview Teddy, because when somebody, at least Hip Hop Police, who got me Timmy and Nitty and Joe Little and Red. She got in touch with Teddy back in the early days, and unfortunately, at that time I had like what 300-400 subscribers, and he's like, yeah, if you get if you bigger channels and stuff. So I had to work towards it and stuff. So there's still Teddy that I definitely would want to would want to get. Tamir, I think she's probably one. I love her voice. Her voice. So I've been trying to get Tamir. Tevin Campbell is somebody that I'd want to get on the show. Um, Believe it or not, probably Mary J, because I think the direction I would take would help break those barriers that she does, because she goes into interviews and she's ready to, okay, I'm not going to tell you anything and stuff like that. So I think Mary would be one. I think Sean from Boys to Men. He's got an autistic son, and it'll be interesting to touch on that area. And there were two people, so it would either be I said Mary, um, but it might be Faith. It was either Faith Evans or Mary, and the final person is would be Ronnie DeVoe
Oh,
um,
interesting. That's an interesting one. I
from New
was not
Edition.
expecting that at all.
Yeah, Ronnie DeVoe. And in fact, I probably need to. Probably think of all members of all the five I've just mentioned. I think I could probably try and get Ronnie before the end of the year if I focus on that. Um, but yeah, those would be the five that I'd want. Of people who have passed, would I have wanted to?
Well, not even Brian McKnight.
No, I think the issue with Brian is when you've got all this sort of public personal stuff that's happening, it can become hard to try not to separate the two, and so I think anyone who's is embroiled with things like that, I think that becomes a challenge to try and I interviewed his brother from Take Six, Claude McKnight, and which was you could talk music and everything and not start bringing up the family. But I think unfortunately with Brian, it's just the family stuff can come in the way, and I don't want it to be one of these spaces where he brings it up and stuff. Yeah, but someone who's passed, yeah, with
That's a
Tupac and
good one.
Aaliyah,
I'll tell you. Aaliyah's a good one.
R. Kelly, because he's incarcerated, so the likelihood of doing that is so. I think, I think just being able to take it to a different space, talk about grow his childhood, talking about losing his mum, talking about the inspiration for his music, talking about how he dealt with pressures within the industry, really understanding that being able to understand that and understanding really highlighting the fact that if he was abused, how that affected why he didn't get help and stuff. I think things like that, so because he's not around. Yeah, yeah, I mean, yes, so those would be, yeah, some of the main ones I can think of. Let me see if there's anything else on my list here. I think finally, Chucky Booker. The first time I interviewed him. So before I interviewed Chucky, he and was in London with Lionel Richie. They were doing a tour. So I went down to West London to meet him, and we chatted face to face for over 2 hours. And he was able to talk. Yeah, the industry's dark and everything. And I was like, oh wow. And so, but yeah, I can't tell you stuff. So then, getting that out the way, and then we do the actual halftime chat, and he's in his hotel room. He's laying on the bed, but he has his phone in his hand, sitting up, and I'm thinking, and I get nervous when Cisco. I would interview Sade Dio. That would be one on my list. Um, but I get nervous when they hold up their phone because how can I know if I'm like if I'm going to interview for 2 hours, how are you going to hold up your phone for 2 hours? I don't know how he managed to hold up his phone for 2 hours, or 3 hours, or 2.5 hours or so. But yeah, he was a light. Um, One who I've spoken to for another 2.5 hours, but off camera, is Diary of Jade. When she came to London, and we spoke for 2+ hours, but I couldn't record any of that. We only took pictures, and it's like, oh come on, let's do the interview instead of doing that. So yes, anyway.
What
So I
about Aaron
think,
Hall?
pardon?
What about Aaron Hall? Because you're a Guy fan.
Yeah, yeah. So what happens is, like, when I think of guests, I think of so like with Aaron, with when there's so much drama that's around them, it then can overshadow the simplicity of what a halftime chat is, and whether the drama just plays an important a role, and there's almost some of the pressure of I need to ask him certain things about this and that. Um, I did reach out to him, and he says I think he was scarred by Vlad TV, and he would never do another interview again because of the Vlad interview where I think he felt that was a safe space and it wasn't, and so I'm almost at peace that that probably will never happen, and so I wouldn't be on the list to try and do, even if it could. Yes. Lorena, for you, any 5 artists that you'd wish you could interview?
Me?
You
How
think
about
so?
you?
Yeah. Oh, VJs. Yeah. Anyone?
There's a whole bunch of people that I would love to interview. I'm just getting started here. So, yeah, I would love to interview a whole lot of people. But to focus back on halftime chat, I think um, your list is great. And I think it'd be really cool to see how everything plays out if Ronnie DeVoe from New Edition and BBD came on. I think that would be huge because I'm such a big fan. So, I'm rooting for that one. Tamia too. That's somebody that I have on my wish list. So if you get Tamia on your podcast, I will definitely be watching that, especially if it's live. I'll be in the chat.
Yeah. What about you, Stevie?
Mine are completely different from all yours. You're going. I just want to go after the obscure artists, the ones that have got stories that have been completely forgotten about, that kind of deserve the flowers. From the New Jack era, some of the more obscure, like either groups or artists that I still feel need the flowers. And sometimes I bang on, come on, Andy, let's do this. And you're a bit reluctant. But I think, they're the ones I chase for me. They're the ones that I get really excited about now. And I'm probably going to have to do it on my own channel, Nanda.
Yeah, which is good. And it's not reluctant. You now know. Okay, I told you just last week I interviewed Steve Russell, and he had a health scare, maybe cancer, and he was amazing guest, but it was 2 hours, and even though we started at 9, we finished around 11:30 or stuff. It took a lot. It takes a lot out of you sometimes. So then I almost, for the next 2 or 3 days or through a week, I'm just like lethargic, hard to do anything else. It's just like okay, and I don't even think about the interviews. I just dump it there for at least a week before I even go back to it, just because. Yeah, when I started doing therapy and I worked in children's mental health, the team, I live in Kent, and I used to work in Essex, and I have to cross this Dartford Bridge, and lots of traffic. So it used to be about an hour journey. The journey back was where I was detox from dealing with some really challenging patients and listening and all that stuff. So my detox was on my drive back. Since I've been doing this, and you get some challenging topics that are brought out, very heavy stuff. It's they're taking it out and it's called transference. They're putting it onto you, so you're carrying all this heavy stuff that you're listening to, and it can be emotional, and sometimes it can be like goodness, that's exhausting because you're listening to that. Dimitri Ship, who was a producer, it was a 2.5 hour interview. He was talking about growing up in LA, South Central, and all the gang violence and all this stuff. And then he ended about Tupac when he died, and it was very heavy. That I think I didn't even publish that interview for almost 2 years, and it took me almost 2 weeks before I could just get out of it. It's heavy stuff. So sometimes it's they're just sharing their story, and it can be heavy to listen to the direction I go. So and I sometimes need a breather. But I finally have to also mention Mila Williams from 702. She's come on. I think she's come on 2 or 3 times. And the very first time she talks about when her and Music So Child had a child, and they had the complications with the pregnancy. The hospital were neglectful, and So Child had to go back. He was touring and stuff, so she was on her own, and it was really emotional to hear how she had to deal with all of this stuff. And then the child, it has autism. Her son, and whether it was during the complications of the birth or whatnot, and then their relationships just didn't go along, didn't work out. So she's been raising him on his own, and just her speaking, and we actually started off talking about all of that before I did my regular halftime chat, which was growing up in Vegas, getting signed and stuff. It started with the backstory of her relationship with Music So Child, and that was really heavy stuff. But it was for her the space, the 2 3 times she's come on, has been very therapeutic, and that has been helped beneficial when that does happen. So yes,
Important question, Namdi.
yes.
The future of moving this channel forward. It's all right looking back for the last 6 years. How are we going to keep it interesting going forward?
Yeah.
Sometimes I think with the podcast, has it peaked? Have we done all the big albums now? How can we keep that interesting? I think
No,
there is lots of interviews. There is still lots of interviews to do, but I think it's keeping it interesting. It's keeping it interesting, I think.
Well, I'll ask Lorena and then I'll ask VJ what their thoughts are.
To keep the channel.
No, like when it comes to the podcast, and which are like out the top tens and stuff, does it feel as if it's almost it reaches zenith, or does it still feel like there's
Have we peaked with that? Do you think? We still got a good long way to go? I mean, suppose really ask the viewers, what do they think of that podcast on a Sunday, the top 10 countdown? We've done a lot of the big albums, but then again, there's still a lot we haven't done.
Yeah,
Still a lot we haven't done.
I think it's a favorite amongst like the people, the viewers, and the people that follow Halftime Chat. I think it's something they look forward to. So I think it should still keep going. I feel like there's a lot left to cover, whether it's in New Jack Swing or like the R&B countdowns that we do. I think there's so much more to still cover, and I think it's like a fan favorite. So I would keep going.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear. That is
VJ.
I think I created a spreadsheet a while back. I think there was over 100 items on that list, so we're still good. We're not running out anytime soon. We're good. And I think, I think just engaging everybody that's watching is important. And I think I don't think it's going away anytime soon. I think we've got some time before you're at that point.
But also the fact that Lorena has Total R&B. She's doing her countdown, and she's getting a lot of more people joining, what voting and engaging with your channel. Stevie, you've got your channel that you and VJ have very niche reviews that have not only just the people vinyl community, but you're getting music collectors as part of it. And I think when the family, extended family, continues to evolve, doing other things, it helps to make it take less pressure off just doing the countdown, but it means that other people can get different things at different times. And it's a growing community. I mean, artists are constantly trying to release new music, but there's still a massive fan base of people who still love the nostalgia stuff. And so, it's whether people who do football podcasts, or people who do films, or TV shows, or Star Wars stuff. There's always people who love that niche and want to engage in it. And so we've got a community of people that still love 90s R&B and hip hop and new jack swing, and we're definitely there to engage with them. And it's a fan led review. It's that's why it's why it's live, because we could easily just do it and just post it and like, yeah, watch. But the reason why it's live is because we want people to engage in it. And so, yeah. So for the future, it's as I said, every December I get to the crossroads and think, okay, I think I've served the purpose and stuff. And with interviews, one thing I learned from Vlad TV, before I used to just have to get new guests, and I never brought anyone back. And I saw he used to bring a guest back 20, 50 to 100 times. I'm like, oh, so that's possible. And so there's people that will keep coming back because they have something different to share and say. And I'll create a home and a platform for that as well. Yes. Okay. Daryl just
Oh, thank
subscribed.
you.
Yes. Please. Yes. Please. Both Stevie and Total. Both Stevie and is it Total R&B? Yep. Both Stevie and video. Are you doing anything on your channel so people can?
I think me and Stevie have set up a channel. We want to do something called the R&B Deep Dive, which we've done some on Stevie's channel. But in order to do the live reviews, you need over 1,000 subscribers. And I think that might take some time to get there. Once we're there, I think the rhythm will just build itself. And what we're going to talk about is very niche stuff. But yeah, we need to figure that out. At the moment, nothing to share at the moment, but we do need to get on that.
Yes. So yeah. So see, with this your channel, right? At
The,
underscore.
the underscores at the other end, not
Oh,
the
is that
beginning.
at the other end? Okay.
All right.
Sorry. Yeah. How come there's the underscore? What was the reason?
Because there was I think when I tried to use the name Stevie Street, there was about 1 million others who were called Stevie Street on YouTube as well. So I just put that.
So that's it right there. So
Yes, thanks.
yes. Okay. Yeah. So you've got Stevie Street, and you just search at total. Is that the at total R and B with the and like this, Lorna?
That's a good question. Stop.
What?
Yeah, it's at total R. No, it's RN. The letter N. Total
Okay.
R&B podcast.
Okay. And VJ, you still
Well, we've got New Jack Swing Forever. That's just one at New Jack Swing Forever. That's.
But
one.
are you posting stuff on it?
We do. I think we might need to use that. Stevie suggested we use that, so we might not use the R&B Deep Dive one until we're ready for that. So the New Jack Swing Forever one is there as well, at New Jack Swing Forever.
Okay, is it NJS or the full word?
It's at just at New Jack.
Darryl. Thanks.
New Jack Swing
Forever.
Okay. Okay, so is
That's
this
it.
it?
That's it. That's it. Yeah.
New Jack Swing Forever. Yeah, so that's VJ's one as well. Yes. So yeah, so just support everyone in there. So guys, I appreciate it. It's we've just done 2 hours. As I said, I appreciate the fact that you guys were able to come on. Everyone who's been watching, I can't name everyone because I know Daryl is still there, but everyone who's come on today. Yeah, just if I start mentioning, if I start men- yeah, if it it's not NJS forever, or was it New Jack Swing forever?
The the brand is NJS Forever, as it has been for 20 plus years. But the at New Jack Swing Forever is perfect.
Okay,
That is
okay,
the YouTube channel.
okay. Um, total. Lorraine, is it Total R&B podcast or?
Yep.
Because Music Tips and Reviews just gave me this one. Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I just wrote at Total R&B, so I needed to add the podcast.
Yes, but if you put in total R&B, it should pop up.
Okay, okay. So just yeah. So okay. So yeah, just in case. But I have to appreciate VJ, Stevie, and Lorena and Jackie who came on board. For everyone who has come in to celebrate. But it's been great to see Stevie and your channel. You've in search of vinyls, how it is blown up, and also watching both you and VJ go down this very niche road that I am definitely not worthy to because it's really it's a very specialist niche. If it's not a Teddy Riley remix that had a music video, I could not compete and compare. But it's good that you guys are able to expand things, and and Lorena, for you to be able to shed a light on undiscovered talent. That's how Stevie interviewed Ari Starr back when she started, and look at where she's at now. And so you just never know who's going to be the next Bryson Tiller and Amani and Javon Sullivan.
She interviewed someone recently that's could do it, and that's Go Go Moreau.
Yeah.
She could blow up. We'll see though. It's interesting. It's interesting that one.
Okay, you see that? So that's just to me. There's nothing more than just watching how you guys are blown up as well. So here's for 6 years has passed, but and I can't emphasize enough that it is a community supported channel. I work full time, so I don't do any of the promotions and stuff. I just post it and hope for the best. So everyone who watches and gets involved, it's always great. So I appreciate that. All right,
When are
guys.
we back? When are we back, Namdi? Is it Sunday or Saturday?
Oh, I don't think anything's been scheduled this weekend. So we'll definitely have to see. Um, we'll definitely have to see. Well, if this is a makeup that we've not had the four of us, so it might be worth trying to do an episode with the four of us together. If VJ and Lorena are up for that. To-
Let's yeah, we can look at doing something on Sunday if
Yeah.
that works.
does it work for you, Lorena?
Oh,
This
putting you on the spot here.
Sorry. Yeah. So you don't have to. You don't
You know
have
what?
to.
We'll discuss that.
You
We'll
don't have to
discuss that
restart. Yeah.
offline. Let's
Yeah.
discuss
So
that
don't
offline.
worry.
I have to look at my calendar.
Yeah. No. Don't.
But
don't.
before we go, I just want to say congratulations, Namdi, and thank you so much for again bringing me in off of Stevie giving you, I guess, the suggestion for me, and for sharing my polls. And
No, I've got a gun to his head, Lorraine. I had a gun to the please. We have to get this girl on now, please, Namdi, now. Before she blows up, before the channel blows up and we miss her.
I'm going to leave out any threats. I just want to say thank you so much. It's been incredible, and all the opportunities that I've gotten. So some of the interviews that I've gotten to do wouldn't have been possible without you. So thank you so much again.
Yeah, Lauren. I will say this that it's been definitely. I mean, I watch what you do with the excellence and the class and the professionalism, and it's like I won't say it reminds me of me because I wasn't at that level when I started. Um, but what I would say is that the fact that you're producing content as though you've got over a million people watching, and that's, to me, that's what I remember, is just that you do your best regardless of how many people are watching, and when it blows up, you're not like, oh, I need to catch up. And I think that's what I definitely admire. And I love when we're on together doing this stuff, because you come prepared, you have your opinions, and it makes what we do rich. And so it's, to me, it's always a blessing when we are part of the team. And even Jackie loves you as well, always loves, because we all do different things and stuff. So yes, and for me to be able I'm honored that you take time to be part of the family. So yeah, so even the fact that you came in this evening, so I don't take you for granted at all.
Thank you.
Apart from VJ, of course, when you let him sit there for 2 hours before he gets a question in, Andy.
No, so with VJ and Andrew, who's not around today. I mean, for me, I know that I the fact that when Stevie suggested connecting with you and Andrew and stuff, and of course I thought, yeah, we had that one episode, and it was great, and it felt like, yeah, well, let's try and build build upon this, and it's definitely an important part of I focus a lot of my interviews and stuff, but I know that in order
what they've done is they took the New Jack Swing podcast to another level. Let's just say that, VJ and Andrew, definitely, because VJ's got some great contacts, and that knowledge in his head of that period as well. It did take the podcast to a bit more of a bigger level, I think. You know what I mean?
We're all kindred spirits, and I think that's what connects us all. But Nnamdi, man, you're the man, and what you do is beautiful, man. Just keep doing what you do. Keep spreading that music. It's a beautiful thing. And 6 is just the beginning. This isn't even the beginning. We've got another 50 years of this, man.
Ben's, we've got to do that Randy and the Gypsies for Ben. Ben's is one of our loyal followers. He's been nagging us to death for this Randy and the Gypsies album. So we're gonna get that Randy and the Gypsies album scheduled for June at least, Nnamdi, please.
Benson's the real perpetrator, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But I appreciate everybody for who tuned in. I'm not going to bore you by staying another 2 hours, but I definitely appreciate everyone. The channel is nothing without the community,
exactly.
And it will keep growing based on the community, and so that's why we do this thing
live. To another 6 years.
Yes, definitely. Okay, so we unfortunately we put Lorraine on the spot, but we will look and see if we're back this Sunday and what we'll do. But till then, guys, appreciate everybody, and we'll catch you later.
See ya.
All right.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of Halftime Chat. Please remember to subscribe, share, and comment. But most importantly, why don't you become a member of Halftime Chat? We've got amazing videos, amazing perks, and being able to support the channel. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.
I never participated in that category.
And somewhere in between.
For even loving us, on which I didn't miss you with.
But what was it like growing up?
She's still making an impact on 4 houses down.
I have a couple pieces.
Trying to get this one and that one.
That works for you, but just for me,
No. Okay, okay.
They understand what Jodeci